Scarlets' fine form continues as they brush aside Edinburgh. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Scarlets open the scoring early. They have a scrum on the right and they attack from the back of that, put the ball through the hands, get it over to the left where they find Combeer in some space. He steps inside the cover and then shows really good strength to get over and ground the try with a couple of defenders in attention at that moment. That's converted by Costello for 7-0. Scarlets, right from the off, they're looking dangerous with ball in hand. We then have a high tackle penalty, allows Edinburgh to go up the line. They spread it from the line out around the Scarlets 22. Fafita, though, intercepts and he goes all the way to score. It's converted for 14-0. Now, what was looking for, a difficult task for Edinburgh, just got a hell of a lot harder for them. Scarlets then, they win a penalty for Edinburgh being off their feet. They go up the line. Edinburgh lose Hussein to injury. Van der Vault comes on for him. They do manage to hold on to the ball, but they're not really making much ground. And it was kind of a theme for Edinburgh, really, like that. They were trying to put the ball through the hands, but they just weren't. Earlier on in the season, they looked dangerous. Now they just don't when they have the ball. They decide to kick, though, and they reclaim, and they do finally get a bit of go forward. Lang goes on a barnstorming run deep into the 22. They're meters short of the line. They pick and drive, and then, they produce probably their best moment in the first half. Murray McCallum gets over to score. That's converted for 14-7. But still, it felt like Scarlets could almost score at will at times. Hodgson then gets pinged for off his feet just after the restart. Costello decides to go for the post. He's just off from long range from the tee. Edinburgh then tackle off the ball. They allow Scarlets to go to the corner. It was really a silly one because Edinburgh originally were awarded the scrum at the breakdown and they would have been able to clear, but instead, silly tackle off the ball, nowhere near the ruck, and it allows Scarlets to get into the corner. The line then, I'm not sure it was a planned move. It didn't look like it because it sails over everybody's head, and then Nicholas coming in, he picks up, manages to retain possession, and they are just in the shadow of the posts, but the ball is unplayable, so it's an attacking scrum. Then Nicholas comes on a crash ball off the scrum, and the ball goes forward. Lang does well to get back over his own try line. It looked like, for all the world, they were going to get him down, but he gets back over. Edinburgh then set up the Caterpillar. Lousy comes and he picks the ball from the back, and he's got Shields there kind of clinging onto the ball as well. He dots down, but then there was a view and Shields hadn't picked the ball up, and the guys in the Caterpillar were properly bound, so it was a penalty to Edinburgh then. Scarlets, though, they continue to apply pressure. Lousy makes a half break. He kind of dummies, nice step, then a good offload to Steph Evans, coming on a great supporting line. He's a clear run to the line. Costello converts that one as well, 21-7. Scarlets then, they're pinning Edinburgh in their own half. Edinburgh, they're very deep on attack. So guys are taking the ball like, 4 or 5 meters behind the gain line sometimes. And Scarlets have been aggressive, and, they're dealing with their attack easily at this stage and pretty much most of the way through the game. Scarlets looking really good in that first half, but there's lots of work to do for Edinburgh as we go into the second half to get themselves back into the game. At halftime, then, Dan Jones replaces Costello. At halftime, Costello off with an injury there. At the start, then, we have a scrum penalty. It allows Edinburgh to kick to the edge of the 22. Scrum was one of the areas that went well for them for most of the game, although that even turned on them later on. Scarlets managed to nick the line out. They break. Evans almost reaches a kick through. And Edinburgh were adjudged to have knocked on. I couldn't see the knock on myself. It looked like, and they said in commentary as well, looked like the ball was actually knocked back. But scrum was awarded to Scarlets in the Edinburgh 22. And it's a big swing from, Edinburgh being right there in the Scarlets half ready to attack, and suddenly now they're defending, just because they just weren't accurate enough at the line out. Scarlets then strike off this scrum. Steph Evans, he rides a couple of tackles, then it goes wide to Combeer. He scores in the corner, and the bonus point is wrapped up for Scarlets. There was some really good running lines in the move, and you can see that their back play really has improved from earlier on in the season. This is converted by Jones from out wide. We're at 28-7. Edinburgh then, they're trying to reply. They chip over, but it's a poor kick. McNichol is able to gather that. He chips back over the Edinburgh defence, gathers himself, and then gives it to Fafita, who has a clear run to the line. He goes over the line, and then he turns around and passes the ball back to Davies, who dots it down to score. I'm not sure what he was doing there, because it's not really the done thing, as it were. And in a big game like something like that, someone not giving up the chase could come and maybe disrupt the try. So it's not something you want to see a player doing, really. But it is converted by Jones. And that's 2 tries in about 3 minutes for Scarlets. The game is, at this stage, is obviously done and dusted, 35-7. So Edinburgh then, when they're getting into good positions, Scarlets, they're able to get over the ball, win a penalty or a turnover, or just force an error for Edinburgh. Scarlets, though, they do concede a penalty for not rolling away. It allows Edinburgh to kick to the corner. They claim the line out and set up the maul. Scarlets then are offside. So it's another penalty. Then Edinburgh go through the phases. Scarlets concede yet another penalty under the post for not releasing. Edinburgh tap, and they recycle, and Venter is able to power over the line. He was one of the positives, I feel, for Edinburgh. He had some decent carries. Mata was okay, but he was kind of quiet compared to the heights that he reached earlier on in the season. But Venter had some decent carries for Edinburgh. This one is converted. We're at 35-14. Edinburgh then, they're going in search for another score, but Scarlets again managed to turn them over. They then get into a good position. They try a crossfield kick to Fafita, but it's marked by Edinburgh, and they're able to clear. Scarlets could have just gone down the line, and they probably would have had a mismatch rather than doing the kick, and probably would have scored. But they do then add another try with a few minutes left. Edinburgh knock on from a 5-meter line out, very close to their own line. Scarlets attack off that scrum. Eddie James on debut comes on a great line, goes over to score. I'm pretty sure it was him. He got absolutely thumped by Mata in his first carry. So fair play to the guy for coming back for more. That was converted then for 42-14, and that's how we ended. So let's have a quick look at some of the stats. So attack-wise, 6 tries to 2 for Scarlets. Scarlets probably could have had a few more as well. Possession, 37% for Scarlets, 63% for Edinburgh. But Edinburgh, as I said, kind of holding onto the ball and just going backwards and forwards across the pitch, not really making much ground or many breaks. Scarlets, when they had the ball, especially on turnover, they looked like they were very dangerous. And then when they had set plays as well, they just seemed to be able to unlock that Edinburgh defence almost at will. Clean breaks kind of speaks to that. 6 for Scarlets, 1 for Edinburgh. And then defenders beaten, 10 for Scarlets, 22 for Edinburgh. But again, I said it in other videos, this can be kind of misleading as a stat because sometimes those defenders beaten are basically when you're just moving the ball like across the pitch rather than making meters forward. Offloads, 12 for Scarlets, 8 for Edinburgh. Some of the offloads for Scarlets definitely had, especially with Lousy when he put Steph Evans right through for his try, certainly counted for Edinburgh. I can't really remember a significant offload for them. So again, it's probably just a case of trying to keep the ball alive and moving it away from the point of contact. On to defensive stats then. Territory, 41% for Scarlets, 59% for Edinburgh. So, Edinburgh, they would kind of get up to a certain point just inside the Scarlets half and then not really get any further. So territory-wise, they were maybe on top, but not really doing much with the ball. And we're seeing that a lot with teams now that are able to, lose the possession and territory kind of battle, but still able to win the game because they're just so much more clinical. When they get into that red zone, they're scoring. Whereas, Edinburgh looked very blunt in attack. They could have had, 70% territory and possession and probably still not been able to score more than their 2 tries. Number of tackles then, 178 for Scarlets, 75 for Edinburgh. So a lot of those Scarlets tackles were just when Edinburgh were just kind of, as I said, trucking it up and moving it, but not really getting anywhere. So a lot of them were just tackles holding them in position. And then in the first half especially, they were even catching them behind the gain line and pushing them back as well. Missed tackles, 22 for Scarlets, 10 for Edinburgh. Scarlets' missed tackles didn't really have that much impact on the game. Again, it was more like Edinburgh kind of going sideways and making little breaks, but not really, anything that was that dangerous in terms of then tackle success. So 89% for Scarlets, 88% for Edinburgh, which is kind of around, where you would expect them to be. Turnovers then, 9 for Scarlets, 3 for Edinburgh. As I said, Scarlets, a lot of the time, they'd let Edinburgh have the ball, and then once they saw the chance, they get in there and they turn the ball over. In terms of kicking then, so kicking from the tee for Scarlets, 86%. I think that it was that one kick by Koslow, right, that they missed, I think. And then for Edinburgh, they were 100%, but it was only 2 conversions for them. Penalties, so 10 conceded by Scarlets, 7 for Edinburgh, but it felt like that, Edinburgh, when they had those penalties, again, they just couldn't capitalise on it. Like when they were kicking to the corner, maybe the line out would go wrong or the move would break down shortly after they moved the ball. For Scarlets, they used the penalties they got to great success. Like they got themselves into position, they set up from either the line out or did win a scrum, and then they were able to, they had some really nice strike moves that helped them there. In terms of then like the teams where they are at the moment, so Scarlets on a great run of form. I think 6 in a row they've won now. They're going to be pushing for those places for the knockout stages. Edinburgh's season, though, seems to be going in completely the opposite direction.